Man Up, a program dedicated to inspiring and helping men live lives of heroic virtue. And now, it's time to man up.
Welcome to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. We are broadcasting on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network. I am Joe Stopulos, and today I will be joined by Bo and Jeane Bishop on our Heroic Marriages series. Let us start in prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray, and do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who prowl about the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Bo and Jeane Bishop, two people who came into Kristen in my life back in 2009 or thereabouts. So I had moved to Des Moines, courting this young woman back in 2008 as I graduated. I got plugged in at St. Teresa's Catholic Church, where I was. We were there for over 12 years and got plugged into a lot of things and got invited to men's groups and got invited to all these things. And Kristen and I talk oftentimes that one of the things that kept us in Des Moines was the wonderful community at St. Teresa's. We were just we didn't have a lot of family, basically any family in town at the time. And our parish family quickly became our family. And it was because of people like Bo and Jeane. There were many couples like them at St. Teresa's that really just brought us into the fold there. And they poured into us. And they showed us what Christian marriage was. And so it was wonderful for us to be able to have these couples who had strong marriages, raising great kids that we looked up to. So, man, we would like to somehow model our parenthood, our marriages after so many of these great couples. And Bo and Jeane are one of them. And so I'm excited to have them on today because it's kind of coming full circle for me as we're doing a series on marriage. To have one of the many couples that was instrumental in helping us as we were preparing for marriage, to teach us and show us the way to have a great marriage. So we're going to head to a short break, and we will have Bo and Jeane Bishop on when we return.
Iowa Catholic Radio would like to thank our business partner, Subway, located at 407 West Bridge Road in Polk City. Subway Catering offers custom subs, drinks, chips, and cookies all in one place. Order online and they'll do the rest. Learn more at jbsubs.com.
At Intervisions Healthcare, we see patients with unplanned pregnancies from ages 12 to 43. An unplanned pregnancy is traumatic at any age. For that reason, we specialize in educating, encouraging, and empowering vulnerable and at-risk mothers facing an unexpected pregnancy with the medical information and services necessary for them to make an informed decision. For more information on the free medical services at Intervisions Healthcare or to support our mission or become a volunteer, visit ivhcare.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio is provided by Ashworth Vision Clinic. Complete eye exams, contact lenses, glasses, glaucoma testing, and urgent eye issues. 515-440-4610. AshworthVision.com.
Support for programming comes from Golden Rule Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, offering repairs, installations, and maintenance for the whole house, including heating and cooling systems and all things plumbing and electrical. Learn more at goldenrulephc.com.
Mercy One is proud to support Iowa Catholic Radio. Mercy One helps you live your best life. Find personalized care for you and your loved ones at mercyone.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Westgate Dental, offering cosmetic, family, implant, and general dentistry. Located at 1073rd Street, Suite 1 in West Des Moines, just behind Dowling Catholic High School. Learn more at westgatedentalia.com. Got a question about the faith? Ask a priest. Email your question to contact@iowacatholicradio.com, then tune in to the Catholic Morning Show Thursdays at 7:15 to hear the answer. Ask a Priest, Thursdays, only on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Caldwell Parish Funeral Home and Crematory. Caldwell Parish offers services that are unique to the individual while following the Catholic funeral rites. Caldwell Parish Funeral Home and Crematory, Des Moines' only Catholic-owned and operated funeral home.
My help comes from you. You're right here.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. Excited to have on two very good friends of mine, a wonderful couple here in the Des Moines, Iowa area, Bo and Jeane Bishop. Welcome to the Man Up Show.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having us.
You guys, I tell this to every marriage prep couple. I don't know, a dozen of these things, maybe more. I use you guys as an example, not just to them, but to others as well, as someone who made an instrumental impact in Kristen and I's life. And you guys were outside people who had, you weren't related to us by marriage. You were just these wonderful people from Des Moines. So I hold you guys up in high esteem. Don't blow this, guys. Don't blow this, okay? I've talked you up high enough. So we're obviously here in this heroic marriage series, trying to help people to live out the vocation of marriage. And I think I started the first episode off talking about this exhortation from 1962 from the Catholic Church about how it's all about self-sacrifice is one, but also by doing self-sacrifice, it can lead to joy. And so I as this thing's starting to evolve, in the other interviews I've had, it's how do we find joy within marriage? Because marriage is naturally going to be a struggle. It's two selfish people getting together, right? And then having to get over themselves and be unselfish. Yep. And life in general is a burden, right? There's lots of burdens to life, but it can also be a very joyful thing. I think you guys live out a very joyful marriage. So as I'm kind of going through this series already, I'm kind of already realizing maybe this is what we're trying to do, is to help people live joyful marriages. So let's start with you guys. How long have you been married? Let's get the facts. Facts and figures. Let's go.
We have been married 38 years.
38 years. Beautiful.
Married, Algona, Iowa, Northwest Iowa. I'm from there, and my husband grew up outside Tampa, Florida. So, yeah.
Okay. So how many children do you have?
I have 6 kids, 5 of which live here, and our son Luke is still finishing school in Texas, and hopefully he'll be back here soon.
One of whom is a reoccurring guest in the Man Up Show.
Okay, John.
He was the inaugural interview on this series as well. So yes. Okay. All right, so let's talk about your faith. So 6 kids, so that's great for me. Obviously, one of the things I'm hoping to get out of this interview specifically is, when you're in it with 6 kids, there's going to be a lot of, and we'll get into that, but, finding joy within the chaos is going to be a big thing that I'm selfishly going to be asking you guys about. Let's start with your faith life at the beginning, right? So I think it's hard for, I know you guys, you're 38 years in. I probably met you when you're 26 years in, something like that, 25 years in. And I've always known you as a very faithful, on fire couple. Have you guys always, has faith always been a priority to you?
Well, I would say when we started to get close and we're starting to talk about being married, and we didn't ever live in the same state as each other until we were married to each other. I was finishing college, and I decided that I knew, first of all, back up. I knew that we agreed on everything that mattered, or so I thought. No. And, but he was not only not Catholic, he had never been a part of any faith tradition. And so I did a class at Iowa State my last year there, kind of a RCIA for Catholics. I don't know what they called it, but it was something. And I definitely just became more excited about my faith. And I was just, very much there when I finished college and we got married the next month.
I didn't think I quite realized the extent of that. You didn't have any church at all growing up?
No, we didn't go to church at all, period. Yeah, I had never been baptized.
You had to watch a lot of football on Sundays.
Right. But so we got married, and then immediately we got married the end of June, and I started RCIA the end of September in
What
Florida.
inspired you to do it, though?
Oh, I think my wife. Yeah, I mean,
you said she's got something great. Like, there's a difference between this is great versus like this is the truth.
Well, I mean, I think we used RCIA. Jeannie went a lot of times with me to RCIA, but she was not a sponsor. But she wanted to be a part of that formation for me, that experience. And so when we went, it really was an inquiry, because I don't think her expectation was that for sure I was going to become Catholic.
Which that would almost not be weird, but like, I would hope you were going in with an open mind, saying, I'm not like going on 100%. I'm here to explore this. And then if I believe that this is true, then I'll join.
And that was the case.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah. That was the case. And so we had a great RCIA team. The parish we came from in Florida, I think I had 52 people in my RCIA class. It was a huge parish.
That's crazy.
It was a huge parish.
Wow.
So it was very exciting. We had an on-fire priest who'd been there for years, an older man, just great. And our RCIA director was a friend of ours, and we had a good experience all the way through. I say we because it was we.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So then Bo did RCIA, and as he mentioned, I was not his sponsor, and that was encouraged, and I think that was good for couples not to be each other's sponsor. He had a man that was a little bit older than him who had also converted to Catholicism, and anyway, every Wednesday night, I feel like I had an aha moment, like, okay, I get that now. Yeah. All right. I mean, and then we stayed for 3 more years and became part of the RCIA team.
Oh, that's very cool.
And that was,
Well, it's interesting because not that this is a little full circle, but St. Teresa's for us. So we always a big part of our journey and why we're here is St. Teresa's, right? The community of people there, everything. And there's some level of the adult faith formation. Shout out Barb Woods that was going on there, specifically the Jeff Caven's series. The Bible Adventure Timeline, all those things. I was 23 maybe when I got into those, and then the men's group as well. But those types of things are maybe this is an encouragement to people out there to get involved in these things because it was instrumental in Christianized understanding of the Bible. It's instrumental in our understanding of the Catholic faith and deepening it.
Yep.
And so it's something that was foreign to me as you're growing up.
Yep.
Going to like a Wednesday night, whatever the thing was, that was totally foreign to me. So I just maybe a word of encouragement to get involved in these things if you can, especially if you have the time and they're available through your parish. You should. All right, so. You're catching on fire early on, and you're now in your 20s or whatever it is, and you're a newly on fire Christian. So talk to me then about how quickly did you guys have kids then into marriage?
We were married in June of '86, and Andrew was born in March of '88.
Okay, a couple years, so about the same as us.
Not quite.
Yeah.
I'll probably tell this joke a few times, but like when we do marriage prep, there's like BC and AC, like before children and after children. Like marriage is very different after children, right? It's almost you need another marriage prep post children. So talk to us about, obviously then you guys are having kids and you end up having 6 in a pretty short amount of time. Mm-hmm. Talk us through those years. How did you guys find joy in those years? Maybe some of the struggles of those years. What are the highlights that you want to share with people about those years?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of going over some of these questions last night and talking about things. I think for us, one of the struggles we just didn't allow time for just us two. Yeah. Because it was pretty quick. We had Andrew less than 2 years after we got married. And, of course, there's a pregnancy in there, too. So even though you don't have a child, they might as well be here, because they affect what you do. Yep. But we, about 6.5 years into our marriage, we had 3 kids at the time, Andrew, John, and Zach. And my mother-in-law came down and offered to watch kids. And we had not done that. We had not done that at all. And so we were on our way from Tampa to St. Augustine, Florida, maybe a 3 or 4 hour drive. And we didn't say a word. And it was very evident to us that we got to do this more often.
Well, and the reason we didn't say a word is because we had decided we weren't going to talk about the kids.
That's right. That's right.
And so, gall darn it. Every time we started to think of something to say, we realized it was going to be about one of them. So it was very telling right over there for our getaway.
Yeah.
We got through it
pretty quick.
Had a great weekend.
We remembered pretty quick how to have fun, and we had a good time, and the weekend was great.
It made a big impression on us that we need to take time just for us. Yeah. And I think that's what, and not just for commitments that have to do with the work. When you go take your spouse to a thing, because those are all part of people's lives too, but to really just waste time and goof around with just each other. One
of the great things Kristen and I got into a habit of was with the Egans, where we would do we'd drop our kids off at their house, and then we go on a date for a couple hours, and then they would come over, and maybe every other month or whatever. It was years of this, but it was a built-in babysitter. The kids got to hang out and have fun. Now we have too many kids to do this; it doesn't logistically work, and we have kids that are old enough to babysit. But during those years, what we didn't, you drop 4 kids off at the Egans' house, and then we go on a date, and it gave us forced one-on-one time. So it actually was a really good thing. So there's maybe takeaway number 2 is make sure you're planning these things out, because if you don't, it just won't, to your point, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
And to your point about your kids grow up and all those circumstances change with childcare and who's available and what's available. And so you have to be really intentional, because it's hard. It's a lot of work.
I actually use Sydney as my scapegoat on like how fast babysitters go. It's like my babysitter is now married with 3 kids. Like, what in the world? Like, I'm like, man, like there's a very small period of time where they're available to babysit, and then they're gone.
You
and
get them trained, and they go off to college.
They have their own kids. How the heck that happens so fast? Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
So it's when I tell people between 14 and 16 they can't drive, and so it's kind of a chore. And then between 16 and 18 they have friends, and and then they're gone. It's like, oh man, it's just a really tough little balancing thing there. All right, so then how can we cultivate? Again, I always talk about you as having tremendous joy in your marriage. How can we cultivate joy in our marriage? And maybe you can talk about it 2 ways, but one would be during those hard times, because it just, no matter how great your children are, 6 kids, whatever the number is, it's a lot of children, and it's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of all the things. So how can you cultivate joy maybe within the children, or maybe even more general? So I'll let you guys take it however you want to go.
Bo grew up camping, and his parents did a great job of taking them away for the weekend and being away and just being on the beach, being at the campground. And I think so that benefited me greatly, coming from a loving family, but that worked all the time.
Yeah.
And so he knew how to play in appropriate ways and more, regularly, and really taught that to me and did that with our children. Mm-hmm. And so even, as more restrictive financial circumstances, you wouldn't necessarily have money to go somewhere, but you would have the ability to have fun, where you go to the park, go to the
$15 campsite can do it.
Yeah. We knew all the parks in this community, and we knew them all really well in the Tampa area too. Yeah. And I guess that's one of the first things that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, the other thing was, like Jeannie said, we did find a lot of joy in our kids. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till these kids grow up, or gosh, I can't wait till they go to bed. We really incorporated a lot of family time, and both Jeannie and I were on the same page with joy inside family responsibilities. Yep. And so, because you don't have a lot. I mean, a lot of our friends, typically one of them stayed home. And so income was more limited typically. And so you just didn't, you didn't go out and do a motel room in Kansas City or Minneapolis for the. And
I believe it was you guys that were the ones telling me early on. This is back when I was 23, so 16 years ago, whatever it was. And I think you were saying that on Sundays, if a kid had a soccer game, everyone went, right? That was you. Right. So talk to us. So that was obviously an important thing that stuck with me.
Right. Yeah. So we weren't negative on the athletics, but we were negative about the athletics taking you away from family time. And primarily that was overcome. Actually, it was overcome by the other kids didn't have a choice. I mean, if someone had a game on Sunday or a couple kids had a soccer game on Sunday, then we all went. I mean, we'd take picnic, we'd take Frisbees or a ball or whatever, and we'd make it fun, know. And some of those parks that have the soccer facility or the baseball facility are near another park where you can walk or hike or whatever. So, but we made it a point to, whether they liked it or not, and most of the times they did not like it, they would be forced to come along. But I think now they look back and they realize, as adults, they realize the wisdom of that in their own rearing. There's a statement that we adopted a long time ago that what's good for the family is good for the individual. They may not realize it at the time or when they're 10, but I think they realize it later.
That's great. It's interesting. So as I think about you guys as a couple, as the background of me coming up through St. Teresa's, and I'm just some random person that Bob Downey grabbed at 6:30 a.m. Mass and said, join the men's group, and then I joined the men's group, and I never joined the men's group, and then you guys are there. So maybe part of this is feel free to give unsolicited advice to people you think might need it. So that's maybe, I don't know if I should be telling people that, but what happened was you guys grabbed Krista and me prior to us getting married. So it was right before, I remember we were in the Daigle Drive house, which is where I was living. This was before I even had my townhouse. So this would have been in the engagement period, but before I even bought my new place. So pretty early on. And you said, hey, I know you guys are probably going through marriage prep, but we'd love to come over and talk with you for a night. Mm-hmm. Sure, that sounds fine. And it was this awesome night where you guys came over and just imparted wisdom that you guys had, again, unsolicited. You said, hey, I think we got something you guys might be able to gain from. And one of the things that stuck with me from that, and I'm going to use a different word, you guys said, if you get two things right in your marriage, it'll help everything else. Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. Okay. I will say romance and finances. Would you say that's true?
There's actually a third one.
What's the third one?
It's God.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry.
Romance and finances. There's three. And Jeannie said that before. We helped with an engaged class at St. Teresa. And I think you guys went through that. Mm-hmm. But we heard that somewhere, I think.
Oh, yeah. All of it would be plagiarized.
Well, pontificate on that, because I do think it's really important. So I'd like to hear your guys coming from the people who taught me that. Yeah. Why is it so important?
I think Janet Smith is who said that we probably heard, and right. She taught at a seminary, I think, in Detroit. Yep. That if you get God, sex, and money right, you're I don't know, divorce-proof your marriage, but certainly greatly decrease the chance of your marriage not succeeding.
Yep. Right.
And I think worshiping together, coming together is ideal, right? And then completely share your fertility. Both of you bring all of your fertility to the table, so the church has, so much wisdom with that, with sexuality and where it belongs and how it belongs, and then finances. Again, bring all of your money and all your any potential inheritance, anything you have. All of it belongs to both of you. All of your fertility, all of your money.
On the money side, this is something I've thought about a lot since you guys said that. And now I'm going through this now, and we've done marriage prep for a lot of people. It's the idea of money in a marriage is it's maybe, I don't know if you got this analogy from you guys or I came up with it or whatnot, but it's like a fire on a marriage. And so like if there are money issues, right? If one person's a spender and the other one's a saver, and the saver's mad at the spender, and there's not everything's on the same page, and let's say there's not a lot of money, it puts fire on everything. And so my point on that is if you're leaving the toilet seat up, and that's an issue, and like the wife's mad at the husband for leaving the toilet seat up, that's one thing. If she's mad at him for leaving the toilet seat up, and we're low on money, and that's like kind of nonstop smoking flame, it's all of a sudden a bigger thing, and like everything is enhanced when there's money issues. Now, money issues are one thing, and then there's obviously being on the same page with money. But I do believe it is an extraordinarily important thing within a marriage. I remember you guys telling me that early on, like you got to get finances right. Doesn't mean have $1 bajillion. It just means being on the same page and having open conversations about how are we spending our money, where's our money, how is all this working, is a huge deal. And so I thought you guys obviously gave me that unsolicited advice at a young age, and we've passed it on to many people as well, because it's all about expectations. You come into marriage with expectations on romance, on finances, on all these things, sure. And you probably aren't talking about them ahead of time, and these aren't things you're usually sitting down and laying out ahead of time, and you kind of just get into it. And so guess what? Like if you're way off on what your expectations are and how this stuff's going to work, it can create tremendous discord within a marriage. So
and we had that too when we were helping with this class at St. Theresa. We had quite a few people who were living together, wanting to get married in the church, but it was his money, her money, and our money. And so when they got married, that's how it stayed. His money, her money, and our money. And so they didn't bring, as Jeannie said, they didn't share that, and so it wasn't, in the modern society, of course, like your fertility is usually, the emphasis is on contraception, which is usually from the woman's point of view. So again, it's not an equal sharing of your fertility. And then, of course, with God, some people don't go. They don't go at all. And if maybe one goes and not the other, that's can be very difficult.
And confusing for the kids. And the kids, same thing on finances, same thing. They need to see that mom and dad are on the same page for all these things.
And all of it's challenging, right? And so I liked what you just said. They need to see that mom and dad are on the same page. But how did they get on the same page? They didn't wake up that way that morning being on the same page. There's work involved, and then
well, I've got more questions for you. We're coming up against a break. I hold you on for another 3 minutes.
Sure.
All right, we're gonna head short break, and we will be right back.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from independent realtor Chris Foster. Chris has served clients with everything real estate throughout Iowa since 2019. 641-891-8178 or online at the number 4 saleia.com.
Support for programming provided by Iowa PBS. In October 1979, a humble Iowa farmer's letter captured the heart of the leader of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope John Paul II, sparking an historic event that would change the state's history forever. Iowa PBS commemorates the 45th anniversary of the Pope's historic visit with an all-new documentary reliving the spiritual journey of a lifetime. Stream now on iowapbs.org or on the PBS app. The Des Moines Symphony performs Brahms' virtuosic and emotionally profound violin concerto as Geneva Lewis makes her Des Moines debut. The concert will open with Still Serenade, with lush harmonies that weave American jazz and blues with classical traditions. Sibelius' innovative and grand Symphony No. 5 makes for a powerful concert finale. Get your tickets for Lewis Plays Brahms, Saturday, October 26th at 7:30 and Sunday, October 27th at 2:30 at the Civic Center. Learn more, DesMoinesSymphony.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio comes from Mercy One. Live your best life with Mercy One. With Iowa's largest network of care locations, personalized care is right in your neighborhood. Schedule online at mercyone.org.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio provided by the law offices of Amanda T. Adams. Catholic owned and operated, Amanda can help with business formation, contracts, commercial transactions, and other business legal matters. Learn more at amandatadamsjdlaw.com.
From Indianola to Saylorville and everywhere at iowacatholicradio.com or the Iowa Catholic Radio app. Listener-supported Iowa Catholic Radio, connecting listeners to Christ.
My help comes from you. You're right here.
Welcome back to Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. That went fast, Bo and Jeannie, and I know we have more to talk about, and so I wanted to give us a little more time. So I know you guys have a lot of wisdom here. Are there things we did not have an opportunity to speak about on the big part of the interview that you'd like to do before we end the show today?
Well, I would like to say I think the best thing we've done in the last 10 years is being involved with the third option.
I know nothing.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
It's a program down at the diocese, okay. And Adam Story invited us to participate as facilitator couple, okay. Ultimately. And I thank him for that. I don't think we would have been smart enough and humble enough to attend otherwise, but we attended as a result. So as we worked with the team to go through all 14 of the topics that are presented.
The third option is what?
The third option is a marriage enhancement and healing program in the diocese. It makes a good thing better, or it might be that there's some particular struggles that you're focusing on.
So if I'm a marriage, it's not. If I'm struggling,
it's a national program.
Okay.
The name comes from people think a lot of times when they're struggling with marriage, there's two options: live unhappily and stay married, or get divorced.
Yeah.
There's a third option: live happily and stay married.
Okay. So, but I'm trying to put myself as a listener here. If I'm struggling in marriage, obviously, if I'm doing all right today, you're still saying, hey, this still might be something for you anyway, just because.
Right. Okay. They work through 14 topics, and married couples are presenting on this, and there's a time to kind of review your homework from last week, how you did on what you were, or maybe it meets every 2 weeks, working on that. Yeah. And then a couple will also present on the next topic. And then at the end, one of the couples will share really a personal story about how they overcame. And the topics are building a climate of respect, ending the blame game, understanding expectations, redefining the power struggle, coping with control issues, listening beyond the words, appreciating personality differences, recognizing childhood emotional baggage, handling anger.
Are these all weekly? These are all weekly topics.
There's 14 topics. There's one topic per week. Okay, and they meet every 2 weeks. So it's a 28 week
28
session.
weeks with 28 different weeks. 20. Okay, got it. Okay.
And
all right. So
you come as a couple. You don't come as an individual.
A substantial amount of time.
Yep.
But obviously.
We appreciated it. We were just ending our kid at home years when we went to it, and it was a good, which went for us into COVID, which, that's the way that went. Yeah. So it was good for us to just revisit some things, some bad habits, and to also just...
You guys have no bad habits. I've known you long.
These are tools.
So last thing real quick, just go to the diocese website, third option.
Yeah.
Third option.
And you can check out, when do classes, do we know when they start or how?
I don't know when the next one starts.
Google search it. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. Yeah. Bo and Jeannie, thank you guys so much. First off, personally, thank you for what you guys have done for Krista and me. You guys have been wonderful mentors to us and to many other people around town. So thank you for being you. Yep. And then thank you for joining me today.
Great. Joe, thank you for all you've done for our faith community in this city.
Appreciate it.
Amen.
All right, thank you for joining us on Man Up on Iowa Catholic Radio. I am Joe Stopulos. It's time to Man Up.
Man Up, inspiring men to live out their call to holiness.